Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, lai la la lai la la lai. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, lai, 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 lai.
Hag Sameach, everyone. We wish we could be with you in real time, but we're happy to be with you virtually. Cantor, Larry, and I are so excited to lead you through a Passover Seder. We'll be using the book A Joyous Haggadah, and the word Seder means order, and each Haggadah has the same Seder, the same order. Cantor Larry is going to teach us a song about the order of the Passover Seder.
Kadesh orchatz, karpas yachatz, magiv raksa, motzi matzah, maror korech, shulchan orech, safon barech, halel nitzah.
Does anyone know how many glasses of wine we drink on Passover? That's right, 4 cups of wine. Do you know why we drink 4 cups of wine? Well, one is for when God told us God would deliver us to freedom, when God would redeem us from slavery, God would take us out, and God would free us. So for the 4 promises that God made to free us from slavery in Egypt, we mark each of those with a cup of wine. If you look at the words on the page, it says, "Welcome to the Haggadah," which means the telling. The telling and everything else tonight is done in a special order, or Seder. We begin with the Kadesh, the traditional blessing of the wine. The first of 4 cups we'll drink tonight. So we'll raise our Kiddush cups together as the Cantor leads us in our blessing.
For Passover, we use a special melody for the Kiddush. It goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Kadesh orchatz.
Next in our Seder is orchatz, which means washing our hands. You've probably been hearing your parents tell you to wash your hands a lot more lately. That's because we want to make sure that we get all of the germs off our hands and make sure that we're super clean. And we always want to do that before we eat a meal. So let's get ready to wash our hands. And that way, we are clean, not just physically, but also spiritually, so we can enjoy our Seder together.
Kadesh orchatz karpas.
Next is karpas, parsley. The Seder leader passes around sprigs of parsley that we dip into bowls of salt water. This isn't just another healthy vegetable that we have to eat, but rather it is a reminder of the Israelites' slaves' bitter tears that they cried. And with the green of the parsley, we remember the renewal of spring and the hope for the seasons ahead. So please take your parsley or green vegetable and dip it in the salt water, and we say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'adamah. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the earth.
Kadesh orchatz, karpas yachatz.
Yachatz. There are 3 matzot, 3 pieces of matzah on the Seder table. And the different matzot represent the different tribes of Israel. The Kohanim, the high priests, the Levites, the priest helpers, and Yisrael, Israel, the rest of the tribes of Israel. They are united together, these 3, and as we join together as one community. What we do in Orchitz is we take the middle piece of matzah and we divide it into 2 pieces, and whichever piece is bigger, that piece we're going to hide later for the afikomen. And then after the meal, whoever's the lucky person will find the afikomen and maybe even get a prize. So make sure when you break your middle matzah, have an adult hide it, and then we're going to come back to it when it's time for the afikomen. This is the Seder plate. Each table has a Seder plate, which has very special objects for Passover. First, you'll notice the beitzah, the egg. The egg is to symbolize the springtime and the cycle of life and how life renews and refreshes itself every year. You'll also notice the maror, the bitter herbs, and the maror is the horseradish that we use. Sometimes they're red, sometimes they're yellow, and maror is bitter, and it's the bitter herbs, and it reminds us of how bitter it was when we were slaves in Egypt. We also have the zeroah, the shank bone. We don't eat the shank bone, but this is a symbol of the Passover sacrifice that our people made to give thanks to God, and the blood that we put on our doorways so that the plagues would pass over us. Then we also have the karpas, the green or the earth vegetable that represents the springtime. Here's my fun little karpas with his salt water for dipping, because we like to dip the karpas in salt water because the salt water reminds us of the tears that the Israelites, when they were slaves, shed under the mean rule of Pharaoh. And karpas are green, which also represents the springtime as well. Some people also use a potato for karpas as well. There's also something that you make out of apples and wine or grape juice. Sometimes people put nuts in it as well, maybe some cinnamon or nutmeg. Charoset is a mix that when it's mashed up, it looks like the mortar that they made. That's what they used to cement the bricks when they were building the store cities of Pharaoh. And also, some people also include on their plate something called hazeret, which is a leaf. It is a bitter leaf, just to also remind us of how bitter slavery was. So make sure that you have all the symbols there on your Seder plate, and then you can continue with your Passover Seder.
Kadesh orchatz, karpas yachatz, magid.
By now, you're probably confused, wondering what this is all about. Don't worry, you're not alone. At this point, the youngest person at the Seder usually asks what's called the 4 questions. But don't worry, we can all sing it together in a minute. But what are the 4 questions? Well, the first question that we ask is, Ma nishtana halayla hazeh? Why is this night different from other nights? So the first question is, on all other nights during the year, we eat either bread or matzah. But on this night, why do we only eat matzah? unleavened bread. The second question is, on all other nights, we eat herbs, but on this night, we only eat bitter herbs, maror. The third question is, on all other nights, we dip our herbs. We do not dip our herbs. We do not dip our herbs even once. But on this, we dip it 2 times. And the fourth question is, on all other nights, we either sit or recline. But on this night, we all eat reclining, being super comfy. And I have a feeling this year, a lot of people will be having their Sederim in their pajamas. And that is just fine. Let's join together with Cantor Larry in the singing of the 4 questions. I hope that you'll all join us at home.
מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה.
Why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we can eat any kind of bread, pita, bagel, roll, but tonight we only eat matzah. And on other nights, we can eat our usual vegetables like broccoli and carrots, but today and tonight, there are unusual vegetables to choose from. There's horseradish, red and bitter, and hot and hotter. What other night do you dip parsley or celery or lettuce in salt water? Twice. Every night you're told, don't slouch, sit up straight. But tonight, everyone is all dressed up and happily relaxed in pillow-stuffed chair. But you know what? You don't have to dress up because we're having Seder at our homes tonight. And it's not with our whole family. So I think it's okay to be comfy and just wear some pajamas. I'm wearing my comfy slippers right now. Hope you are wearing something comfy and you are reclining and relaxing and enjoying your meal. For thousands of years, on the same night, Jews of every shape, size, and color, wherever they lived, asked those same 4 questions. And the answer is the Passover Seder. In every generation, we celebrate this night as if we ourselves are the slaves seeking freedom from Pharaoh's chains and marching out of Egypt to freedom. Tonight, we, like all children, are curious about what happened so long ago. To understand those events, you need the right answers. And to get the right answers, you need to ask the right questions. The Haggadah tells us about 4 very different types of children who were taught in 4 different types of ways. First, we have the Chacham, the wise child. The wise son or daughter probably knows the story backwards and forward. He or she always wants to know more. So you can teach them everything you know about the Passover Seder, down to the last little detail. Maybe you'll even learn something new. The Rasha, that's the wicked child. The wicked child says, "What's in it for me? Who cares?" A child with this attitude would have missed the last donkey out of Egypt and still be Pharaoh's slave today. This wicked child would rather be watching Netflix than having a Seder with their family. Then there's the Tam, the simple child. The simple child may even be smarter than he looks, but you have to spell everything out for him. Just remind him that a strong hand and an outstretched arm brought us out of Egypt, and we have no intention of going back. We have a responsibility to obey the law and the traditions. And then there's She'eino Yodea Lishol, the child that doesn't even know how to ask. Don't bother with questions for this child. Just start telling the story. Long ago and far, far away. One day, a new Pharaoh came to sit on the throne. He feared the growing strength of the Israelites. To get rid of them, he devised a cruel plan. He would make them slaves and work them to death, building his great cities. Still, the number of Israelites grew. Frustrated and angry, Pharaoh ordered his men to drown every Israelite newborn son in the Nile River. On that day, a boy was born to Amram and Yochebed. He had a brother named Aaron and a sister named Miriam. His parents kept him out of sight, but after 3 months, when they could no longer hide him, they wrapped him in a warm blanket and they snuck him past Pharaoh's men. They set the baby afloat on the Nile in a basket made of bulrushes. They hoped someone would take pity on their child and save him. Miriam hid nearby to see what would happen. At sunrise, Pharaoh's daughter, Batya, came to bathe in the river, and she and her maidens saw the basket. "Look, a baby's crying," she called out. "It must be a Hebrew child." She took pity on him and let Miriam bring an Israelite woman, who was in fact his mother Yochebed, to nurse him. Later, Pharaoh's daughter, Batya, adopted the boy and named him Moses, which means drawn from the water. One day, when Moses was grown, he went out from Pharaoh's palace and saw an Egyptian beating someone. It was a fellow Israelite. Moses struck down the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. He thought there was no witnesses, which meant he thought nobody saw what he did. The next day, he tried to stop a fight between 2 Israelites. "You're judge and jury now?" one of them asked him. "Are you going to kill us the way you killed that Egyptian?" Uh-oh. Everyone knows what I did. Probably time to get out of town. So Moses fled to the wilderness, to the land of Midian. There he settled, married, and had 2 sons and tended sheep. But he was a stranger in a strange land. One day, while out with his flock, he came upon an amazing sight, a bush that blazed but wasn't burnt. As he crept closer to get a better look, God's voice called out, I am sending you to Pharaoh to free my people. And Moses said, Who, me? And God said, Yeah, you. Moses said, Me? But I'm slow of speech. I'm not a good public speaker. Can't you pick someone else? But God insisted it should be Moses. So Moses took his family and they returned to Egypt.
Let my people go.
Pharaoh wasn't about to lose his precious slaves just because Moses, or some god that he had never heard of before, told him to. Then God told Moses to make it perfectly clear to Pharaoh that if he didn't let the Israelites go, the Egyptians would be attacked by the 10 most terrible plagues ever, and Pharaoh would be to blame. But hard-hearted Pharaoh dismissed this warning with contempt.
When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
As we say each plague's name, we dip our finger in our wine and splash some of it on our plates. It reminds us that no evil deed goes unpunished. Just don't stick your finger in someone else's cup. First, let's do together. Dam, blood. Next, Sfardia, frogs jumping everywhere. Next, Kinim, lice. Oh, I'm so itchy. Oh, they're so itchy. Next, Arov, wild animals. Next, there is Dever, animal disease. Next, there are boils. Oh my gosh, those boils are the most painful thing, Shachin, and they were all over their body everywhere. Next, they had hail, barad. After that, there was arbe, locusts, and those locusts, they even got into the cows. The locusts were everywhere. Those locusts got into apples and everything. They're such pesky pests, they had to call exterminators. Really not fun at all. And then the next plague was choshech, darkness. That means they couldn't see anything. They walked around in the dark for days looking and looking for things and people, but all they could see was darkness. The last plague was the scariest plague of all. It was Machat Bacharot, the firstborn. All the firstborn would be in big, big trouble. That means if you were the firstborn in your family, it wasn't good for you. Well, the Israelites didn't have to be told twice. They got out their sandals as fast as they could, and they waited for Pharaoh to tell them that this was finally enough. And finally, he said, Go! Enough! I can't take all these plagues! And the Israelites were finally able to run away.
So let's recap that story. Said, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Now here's the story. A burning bush told me just the other day that I should go my staff and clear my throat. And oh, Pharaoh's army did the dead man's float. I said, now Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, now Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the story of that stubborn goat. Well, Pharaoh should have known that chariots don't float. The lesson is simple, it's easy to find. When God says go, you better mind. I said, now Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, now Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, now Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, now Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go.
The Jews hardly had time to pack their food and grab their matzah. It's a good thing they acted so quickly, because Pharaoh had a change of heart. What have we done? Are we crazy? I want my slaves back, he said. And the next day he went after them with a great army in chariots. The Egyptians almost caught up with them at the Sea of Reeds, with the sea before them and Pharaoh's army behind them. Oh no, they're coming! The Israelites were trapped. It was then that a great miracle happened. God caused a strong wind to blow all night and turn the sea into dry land. The water stood like walls as the Israelites passed safely in between the water. But when the Egyptians charged after them, the walls of the water came crashing back down, and Pharaoh's army drowned. The Israelites were saved.
We were standing at the sea, Michamocha, standing at the sea, Michamocha, standing at the sea, Michamocha, freedom's on our way. And Miriam, she took up her timbrel, and we were singing and dancing, Michamocha, singing and dancing, Michamocha, singing and dancing, Michamocha, freedom's on our way. And the sea she parts, Michamocha, the sea she parts, Michamocha, the sea she parts, Michamocha, freedom's on our way. And we knew right then there was one God, Michamocha, one God, Michamocha, one God, Michamocha, freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way. We got to the other side, we were singing and dancing, Michamocha, singing and dancing, Michamocha, singing and dancing, Michamocha, freedom's on our way. As we watched the waters close, we were standing at the sea, Michamocha, standing at the sea, Michamocha, standing at the sea, Michamocha, freedom's on our way.
Even one miracle would have been Dayenu. It would have been enough for us. But there were so many miracles that we have to sing Dayenu.
Ilu hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 been enough. Natan lanu et ha-Torah, Natan lanu et ha-Torah, dayenu, 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 dayenu. And if God would have only given us Shabbat, that would have been enough. Natan lanu et ha-Shabbat, Natan lanu et ha-Shabbat, dayenu, 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 dayenu.
That's the end of the story, but not the end of the Seder. It's time for more blessings and rituals before we get to our festive meal. Think of them as Passover appetizers. They may seem needlessly complicated, but be patient, as we have been for countless generations. Relax a little bit more in your chair and fill your second cup of wine. Make the blessing over the wine and drink.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Kadesh orchat, karpas yachat, magid raksa.
Next, we come to Rachsa, washing of our hands. We wash our hands. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to each of you. Happy birthday to you. And you make a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctifies us with commandments and commands us to wash our yadayim, our hands.
Kadesh orchat, karpas yachat, magid raksa, motzi matzah.
When our ancestors fled to Egypt, they didn't have time to wait for their bread to rise and to bake it in ovens. They threw flat, unleavened dough on a pan over an open fire and made the original fast food that we call matzah. Break the other half of the afikomen matzah and pass it around to everybody. Once everyone has a piece, we will make two blessings. The first is the same blessing we make every time we eat, and the blessing over bread, lechem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. But before we eat, we make another special blessing, the blessing over eating matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctifies us with commandments and commands us to eat matzah.
Kadesh orchat, karpas yachat, magid raksa, motzi matzah, maror.
Maror, bitter herbs. The maror, bitter herbs, give us a taste of what the Israelites suffered in slavery. The charoset, which is made out of apples and wine, and usually some cinnamon, sometimes some nuts, looks like the mortar and the mud they used to make the heavy bricks for Pharaoh's cities. But this tastes much, much better. Say the blessing and eat a little bit of the maror and the charoset together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctifies us with the commandments and commands us to eat maror. B'tei alone.
Kadesh orchat harpas yachat magid raksa motzi matzah maror korech.
Next, there's something called the Korach sandwich. Rabbi Hillel, the great teacher, put maror between two pieces of matzah and invented the Hillel sandwich. You can also add a piece of the chazeret, the bitter leaf. The sandwich reminds us of the temple and the bitter times after its destruction and the better times that are coming. It is also traditional to eat a hard-boiled egg, like the one on the Seder plate, with a little bit of parsley. It symbolizes the celebration of life and the rebirth of spring. And the shank bone on the Seder plate is for the strong arm of God that brought us out of bondage, but we don't eat it.
Kadesh orchat karpas yachat magid raksa motzi matzah maror korech shulchan orech.
Well, it's finally the moment we've been waiting for, Shulchan Aruch, which means the festive meal. It's time to eat your yummy Passover meal. We'll see you when you're done eating to finish up the Seder together.
Pause the video and restart after your meal. B'tei avon, a good appetite. Kadesh orchat karpas yachat magid raksa motzi matzah maror korech shulchan orech tzafon.
I hope you enjoyed your meal. Next is safun, which is the hidden dessert, the afikomen. After the meal, everyone looks for the hidden piece of matzah, and if you can find it, you often win a prize, but nobody is allowed to finish dinner until you find the afikomen, so you better get looking for it.
Kadesh orchat karpas yachat magid raksa motzi matzah maror korech shulchan orech tzafon barech.
Barech, blessing after the meal. We raise the third cup of wine, but we don't drink it, and we say the grace after the meal, the short version. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who provides food for the world. Your kindness lasts forever. For you are a God who feeds and cares for everyone and does good for all that you have created. Sitting even deeper into our chairs, we make a blessing over the wine and we drink the third cup. And we join together with Cantor Eschler.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Yum.
As for that special goblet of wine, that was for Elijah the prophet. He was just here. Didn't you see him? When we opened up the door, he came in, and then he quietly went out. Check the cup. It's not as full as it used to be. He brought a message of justice and peace, reminding us that there are still many people who are oppressed by tyrants today, and he gives us hope for the future, even when there's moments when we are scared or frightened and isolated in our home. He gives us hope for all the good times still to come.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu HaTishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu HaGiladi, Bimhera v'yamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu HaTishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu HaGiladi. Kadesh Orchat, Harpas Yachat, Magid Raksa, Motzi Matzah, Maror Torek, Shulchan Orek, Tzafun Marek, Hallel.
We now come to Hallel. Hallel is a song of praise and celebration for the Israelites' deliverance. Like Miriam the prophetess and all the Israelite women who sang with timbrels in their hands and danced, we lift up our voice and we sing in gratitude. We sing with Cantor Larry, Miriam, and the women.
Followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. Now Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one that sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she danced for the and the women dancing with the timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would dance to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song.
We now come to our fourth and final cup of wine. We raise our wine goblets once again as we join together with Cantor Larry in the singing of the blessing over the wine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim. Kadesh orchat, karpas yachat, magid raksa, motzi matzah, maror korech, shulchan orech, tzafun marech, halel nitzah.
The last step of our Seder is called Nirtzah, which means conclusion. That's it for tonight. The Seder is done. Together we relaxed, drank, asked questions, told stories, and sang. To end our celebration, we say aloud all together, as Jews have done throughout the world for thousands of years, Leshana Haba'ah Be'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem.
L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, 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 L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, b'Yerushalayim, Chag Sameach.
It was so nice to be with you for our Passover Seder. We hope that we get to be with you in person next year. Have a wonderful Pesach, stay home, stay safe, and enjoy this special time with your families. Bye.